Huskers leave for New York City on Monday.
What's going on there?
Well, bowl game. It's hard to believe.
They're playing in a bowl game. I'll be darned.
It's hard with everything that's gone on the last 2 or 3 weeks. I can't believe we're already at this point. I really can't. But Nebraska will travel on Monday. They'll spend an entire week out there. Most of the Nebraska media will be getting out there the night of the 25th or the 26th. So, like our coverage out there, if you're a fan or a listener, we'll be there the evening of the 25th, but we'll get some access to the coordinators on the 26th. And then on the 27th, we'll have a Zoom head coach conference with Matt Rule and Bill O'Brien. So a totally different bowl experience for us. But I think that's just New York City in general. It's just not your normal bowl experience.
Right. I mean, we would, in the past, like bowl coverage would entail driving to a site to cover Nebraska.
Every day,
cover the practice, get the scoop from the practice, and huddle up somewhere at a coffee shop or a restaurant, wherever. And then, hard to do that in New York, right? Hard to get around, so it's a different sort of bowl experience. This has been a much different experience, and it's probably like this around the country, and it's just because of the portal news, this just gets lost. We have not talked about even Nebraska's practices very much,
but the coaches are back. No one's been traveling, so like they've had good practices, and the new coaches,
I'd like to see them.
I'm interested to see these new coaches. Phil Snow was announced officially today.
Okay.
So all these guys are going to be a part of it.
Yeah, there's a vastly different staff now than what Rule started with. That's interesting. And as long as we're having this conversation, what Rule did looks very smart in this sort of month. To have Dana Holgerson running the offense, the 53-year-old who's been a head coach for 13 years, who's run offenses, for a long time. He doesn't need any help from the head coach. To have Phil Snow, 68 years old, who made a career of running defenses, helping a 51-year-old former NFL coach who describes himself as grizzled, John Butler.
I'm freaked out that you know all the ages.
I do.
Are you going to say in Sean Callahan, the 44-year-old? I mean, you start saying everybody's age and everything.
The ages are important because it denotes experience. And how much time could Rule devote to how are we going to beat Boston College right now?
And this game is going to be a B. Like
you can say bitch.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah, it is.
Like, look,
why do you say that though?
Because they're good, and like from what I can tell, no one's opting out for them. And like they have their full complement of players playing. They've thrown 24 touchdowns with just 7 interceptions on the year. They've got the nation's leading sack man.
How many does he have?
16 and a half. He was a first-team All-American, and there he is, Ezeka Ruku.
Oh, yeah, he can play.
He was ACC Player of the Year, first-team All-American, consensus All-American. Robin Washut reminded me today earlier that, so they will have the best player in this game.
They will, and we've seen. Oh, here I'm going down this road. Get ready, Sean. What game stands out in your mind as one where an edge rusher took the game over?
The Music City Bowl.
Yep.
Derek Barnett.
The last bowl Nebraska
played. Broke Reggie White's sack record.
He took the game over, right? Basically, took the game over. They couldn't block. Nebraska couldn't block it.
He changed Nick Gates' career.
Right. So let's not see that happen again. The only thing I can add about Boston College is I did see him play a full game. I watched him against Florida State. And I remember vividly going on my radio show that morning and saying, guys, Boston College is pretty good. They're obviously well never knowing they'd be playing Nebraska.
Like Bill O'Brien is a good coach. What he did at Penn State after the Paterno deal was one of the better coaching jobs you'll see to keep that team together.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They'll be a tough team like their coach. They'll be a smart team like their coach. It's nice to hear, actually, that they don't have a bunch of opt-outs. I like to hear that. Nebraska doesn't have a bunch of opt-outs. These teams will go at it. I would say close. Every game's close, so it's not exactly going out on a limb. I think we're going to be watching a very close game.
And I don't know. I know guys come and go from schools, but the education in this place like Boston College, if you were close to graduating from there, you wouldn't want to not get your degree from there. That's a very expensive school to go to. Yeah. And you'd be, to me, hurting yourself in the long run.
You'd want to get your degree.
You want to get your degree at Boston. I mean, that's like an $80,000 a year school.
Yeah.
And for a player there, I'm sure you're like, yeah, I can transfer. But I mean, they're a good team. Like they beat Syracuse, they beat Michigan State, they almost beat Missouri, they beat Florida State.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot there.
It'll be very
about
tough.
This game.
Yeah. It'll be a very tough game for Nebraska. But here's the thing. I think Nebraska is equal to the challenge. Nebraska, Sean, I mean, we talk a lot about their shortcomings, and Rule points that out. We talk a lot about their shortcomings. But this is a team that always plays hard, Nebraska. I'm not worried about Nebraska going there and not fighting. They'll give it hell.
And the question is, will they have enough up front on defense? I don't anticipate this being a high snap count game.
What's the starting lineup up front?
Well, Ty Robinson,
Nash Ty. They got that.
Nash Ty. Would it be Van Poppel, Keona Davis?
Yeah, that's it. You just got it. What's
MJ
wrong with
Sherman?
No, what's wrong with that?
It's a matter of, I don't think this is going to be a game that's like 80 snaps. I think it's going to be like 60, 65 snaps, and they have enough to play a game like that.
Oh, Nebraska's got enough guys. I mean, if you just look at their front seven with Nash and Ty back and Van Poppel and Keona Davis, and you got Bullock, you have Javin Wright, you have Shavers, you have
McGahee. No, as far as the defensive line, Judy, I forgot about
Elijah Judy's big in that.
So you have Robinson, Hutmacher, Judy, and then you'll have Van Poppel and Linhart.
You got,
and then Keona Davis. You have 7 guys.
Yeah.
One and
plenty.
Then
they got plenty.
They have 7 guys to play 3 or 4 D line spots.
Plenty up front.
And then I'm not worried. No. And this won't be like a game where the secondary is going to get tested, but like I don't think they have to worry about like big plays down the field.
Nebraska's equipped to win this game.
They have to execute and play at a high level and special teams and all the other small areas. And look, it's going to be nice right now. 50 degrees is what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. Dan was talking about 40s.
I just saw the latest for Saturday on my phone, which I'm an iPhone meteorologist, so bear with me here. But I've got Saturday 50 degrees for a high in New York City.
December 28th?
Yep.
Really? That would be a welcome development.
And again, a lot of people said that. They're like, oh, Nashville. No, Nashville and New York, not a big difference in weather.
It can be.
It can be, but it can't be.
Right.
I mean,
those Iowa guys talk about that's the coldest they've ever been covering that game when Iowa played it.
I'm going to armor up with my coats and stuff. I'm not going to travel light.
Armor up.
Hey, and by the way, I want to make this announcement too. We are going to be doing a special Husker Online Friday night live show from New York City. We are working with our great friends at Zipline, who helped put this together with us. And we're going to do a show with the New York City Husker chapter at the Brazen Tavern. So it's a 7 o'clock to midnight party. Our show, we'll do like a 30, 40-minute show. We won't occupy your whole evening, but we're going to be a part of this thing. Robin Sipp and I will be out there in New York City putting on a show. So a lot of people have asked, what are you guys doing out there? Well, Friday night, join us at the Brazen Tavern. Zipline's putting that on with the New York City Huskers chapter.
Well, there you go.
There won't be free Harley rides from Sip, though.
Not around New York City.
Your Harley might get stolen outside if I left it out.
I don't know about that.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Although the weather, if it's 50 degrees, you can ride a Harley in.
We're going to get picked up, though, I think, and get a ride. But it's close. This is in the Manhattan area. I mean, this is kind of where the action's at. So they're expecting a big crowd. I mean, they're set up to have maybe 500 people at this thing.
500 or 500, we'll be ready.
So we'll join us there on Friday night from New York City.